Welcome back to May Believers. I'm Ben, and you're probably not used to seeing me on this channel. That is because this YouTube channel is run by William and Dakari, who have made videos on, on this channel. And the thing is, we're starting to realize that this channel is starting to become a very apologetics-focused channel, and that while that is a good thing, we are overall trying to spread the gospel in every way, shape, or form, but it is not a holistic approach. And here's the thing, this channel is being built to help teenagers like us deal with our walk with Christ, day by day, because we are living in a world, and it's especially challenging for younger people who might not be as experienced as people who have walked the world like 20 years over. And while we are definitely not perfect, we're here to share the helpful things that we've learned, at least, to help you guys. And we're getting as much, opinions as possible, and so that's why I'm here. I am here to talk about the biggest problem that people face today, especially with their Christian character, and that, my friends, is pride. Now, the first thing we are going to do is let me just define what we are going to cover in this video. One, we are going to introduce pride. We're going to talk about what is pride. We are going to talk about what happens to the prideful, and we're going to show you how to solve it. So, if you guys want to, learn about that, please stick around. So, first thing, introduction to pride. Alright, so first of all, I just want you guys to raise your hands if you think you deal with pride. I can't see you, but you can see you, and I want you to be honest with yourself. So, now, keep your hands up if they were up to begin with, or put them up if they were down if you deal with lust, greed, gluttony, wrath, or any of the other sins you can possibly think of. I really hope your hands raise right now, because everyone deals with sin. Now, what if I told you if every single sin I mentioned or could mention stems from pride? Meaning, through pride we are committing every sin, and no sin is completely detached from pride. And that's a very interesting angle to look at it, because if we see pride causes sin, then there's really one big enemy here. Practically, this makes a bunch of sense, and I'll show you why. So, what is pride? Basically, what it is, according to the world, is people that think of themselves better than anyone else. People that think of themselves so righteous and pious, or people that see themselves as better than other people because of things like by worldly standards that we can judge usually. If you have more money, usually you'd view people with less money as lesser than you, or if you're smarter than someone, then you think you're, better than them. But that isn't exactly what pride is, because if that were true, why are things like insecurity and anxiety still resulting of pride or caused by pride, even though they are more internal and not very uplifting or self-righteous things? Well, that is because pride is not just thinking you're better than others, but it's actually about viewing yourself and over-focusing on yourself. That is what pride is. And so before I get into any of that, I want to read off some scripture that is going to prove and help develop our understanding of what pride is. So, Mark 7:21 through 13 says, "What comes out of a person is what defiles them. For it is from within, out of a person's heart, that evil thoughts come: sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, lewdness, envy, slander, arrogance, and folly. All these evils come from inside and defile a person." Now, another good verse for this is Joshua 24:14. "Now fear the Lord and serve him with all faithfulness. Throw away the gods of your ancestors worshipped beyond the Euphrates River and in Egypt, and serve the Lord." Another, probably better one, Proverbs 16:18 through 19. "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before the fall. Better to be lowly in spirit along with the oppressed than to share plunder with the proud. And finally, we got 1 Corinthians 4-7. My conscience is clear, but that does not make me innocent. It is the Lord who judges me. Therefore, judge nothing before the appointed time. Wait until the Lord comes. He will bring to light what is hidden in darkness, and will expose the motives of the heart. In that time, each will receive their praise from God. Now, brothers and sisters, I have applied these things to myself and Apollos for your benefit, that you may learn from us the meaning of the saying, do not go beyond what is written. Then you will not be puffed up in being a follower of one of us over against the other. For who makes you different from anyone else? What do you have that you did not receive? And if you did receive it, why do you boast as though you did not? Now, hopefully these verses help us develop a sight of what pride is, okay? Pride, based on scripture, we see that pride comes out from within us. It is from within our flesh or within us that all this deceitfulness, anger, wrath, lewdness, everything sinful comes from us. We can see that clearly. And in 1 Corinthians, that verse, we have something that says, do not go beyond what is written, and everything we have is given to us. Those are going to be some points that I'm going to reach back at in the later sections of this video just to explain something more. But basically, what we are seeing here is, what is pride? It is us over-focusing on our flesh, because real brain science alludes to this, by the way, or proves this. Where our attention goes is where our action goes. So if our attention is on our flesh, is on who we are, is on us, our sinfulness in our worldly position, if it is on our flesh, we're going to do things that glorify us or glorify the flesh. If my flesh wants money, I am only looking at my flesh, I am going to be pretty greedy and do whatever I can to get money. Basically, pride has these different manifestations based on what we are looking at our flesh and what our flesh desires, right? Every single different sin is like its own manifestation of pride, right? It's a reflection of what our body or what our flesh desires, and we know from the Bible that our flesh is worldly, and so our flesh desires to sin and go against God because it knows it is bound to this earth. So, basically, we're going to look at a little bit of an example, so this hopefully checks out. Alright, if I am so prideful, right, I'm prideful, I'm looking at myself, and I'm constantly worried about who I am, and I'm constantly focusing on my flesh, and I'm constantly focusing on myself, right? Let's say, something that's not a very, ego uplifting sin, or thing that, struggle, insecurity, right? Let's say I'm insecure because I'm so caught up in myself, I think my toes are not very perfect. I don't like the way my toes look. And so that might lead me to put on these glasses that blind, right? Pride blinds us through this, looking through the flesh. Because everything we see, if we are constantly looking at the flesh, is through this tinted view of our own flesh. Or we are looking at life through the perspective of what our flesh wants to see. So through this blindness, I might be looking at my friend over here at the beach who has got some pretty cool toes, and I wish that I had toes like that. I'm looking at him through the eyes of my pride. I am seeing him as better than me, or I'm seeing him as different or as not deserving of those toes, like I should have had those. I'm seeing this whole situation outside of the truth. God is not present in this situation, and it is causing me to envy. It is causing me to think I deserve something that was not given to me. It is causing me to neglect where God is, and this is true for every single situation. Greed, I see my friend that's got more money than me. Or, honestly, let's say I have more money than my friend. I'm viewing my friend as less because I'm so caught up in myself. I think I'm so powerful. I don't even care what the truth is with him. God is completely out of the situation again. And so I hope that helps you realize what pride is. It blinds us, and it is an overfocus on our flesh. But what happens to the people that fall to pride? This is section 3. So I think you can probably answer this question on your own if you've been a Christian for a while, but just to name a few: Adam, Eve, Satan, Goliath, David with Bathsheba, Cain, the builders of the Tower of Babel, Pharaoh in Exodus, Judas, like half the kings in the Book of Kings. Every single one of these people fall to pride. And while all their stories can be researched on your own time, I want to take a look at one story in particular, or one case study in particular, to show what happens to prideful people. The Pharisees. Alright? The Pharisees, every single time you can see the Pharisees in the Bible, you know that they can be used as a case study for pride. So, what did the Pharisees do? Well, they believed themselves more righteous than the Son of God himself. They did not believe his teachings, even though he is like the great teacher. They, in their pride, when they couldn't beat him with logic, they just were so sure that they were right and he was wrong that they had him executed instead. And the list goes on, but the whole point is that the Pharisees are a very good case study. And so, it shows that, like the Pharisees, if you're so caught up in your pride, you are going to see things as completely wrong. And God is going to be neglected from the situation, because if you look at their relationship with God, the Pharisees, in their own minds, constructed this box that they thought the Son of Man should fit in based on their own standards. They thought the Son of Man should come and praise them for their religious teachings, or he should come and prove them right, because that helps their ego, that helps what they've been paying attention to, instead of the actual law. And out of all of this, they've made their own decisions, put their own twists on laws, and so when Jesus does come and point out their corruption, they're so prideful that they don't care what he thinks, because they think they're right by their own standard and not what the word says. And so that's a very big problem if we realize pride is going to lead us to reject Christ, and it's going to lead us further from Christ. So how do we solve it? Humility. Alright? If pride is not about just thinking yourself better than everyone else, though it definitely could be, humility isn't necessarily about putting yourself down. Humility is taking the glasses off, the tinted glasses off, and looking at God. Because where our attention goes is where our action goes, and if our attention is on the one person that has truth in this world, if our attention is on God, we will do actions that glorify him and put him back in the driver's seat of our lives. So, this whole thing is kind of like curing a virus, right? Obviously, we can't be cleansed of all sin. We can't solve or cure pride, right? We can treat it, though. Like that, it's also like a Swiss Army knife. This is the best way to explain it. Where pride has manifestations, humility has applications, right? You might not use certain parts of a Swiss Army knife to do certain tasks. However, it can do a lot of things because it has so many different applications. So, let's bring back that toes scenario from earlier. If the pride manifestation is manifesting in anxiety or insecurity about my toes and thinking that they're not what they should be, then maybe humility might be taking a second, praying or looking at the word and realizing God says we are beautifully and wonderfully made. God says that, we're all equal in his eyes. We can, through the Bible, realize that the situation is a lot different than we originally see, because the truth is, if God was looking at the situation, he sees two children. No distinction. He does not care about our toes because he made us, and he doesn't care about our features. We are all built to complete a calling or complete a mission that he set for our lives. So if we're comparing constantly, it's putting God out of the situation and focusing on things that don't matter, and that is bad, because putting God out of the situation is bad. So humility is taking the glasses off, seeing the situation for what it is, and moving on. So, that is the whole thing about humility, and I really hope this helps. I really hope this lesson helps, because humility and pride are a huge struggle in our daily battle for, to try to improve ourselves as Christians. And I think starting the trend to move to humility as a teenager is a great start, because you will develop it, you will develop a closer relationship with God, and you will be able to experience a lot of success if you're able to adapt these skills now. So thank you guys for watching, and God bless.